Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marta Filizzola. I'm the Dean of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences here at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. I'm happy to welcome you to the 2024 Lab Coat Ceremony for PhD students. This marks the 7th year we gather to celebrate the remarkable journeys our doctoral students in biomedical sciences, clinical research, and neuroscience are embarking upon. This ceremony holds profound significance as it represents the beginning of our students' academic research and training journey. The lab coats they receive today symbolize the professionalism and authority they will cultivate and uphold throughout their time with us. Our PhD programs in biomedical sciences, clinical research, and neuroscience offer rigorous, collaborative training that equips our students to lead the next generation of scientific and medical advancements. These programs are essential in addressing complex challenges and finding solutions grounded in data and robust statistical analysis. We are branching out into new research frontiers, leveraging artificial intelligence and other technologies in medicine to improve both patient health and quality of life. And our students are integral to this progress, bringing diverse perspectives and experiences that drive innovation in both basic and translational research. We are thrilled to have so many people joining us today, both in person and virtually, to celebrate our incoming doctoral students and to commemorate the beginning of their academic research training. So let's give everyone a round of applause here. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Eric Nestler, Dean for Academic Affairs and Chief Scientific Officer, Director, Friedman Brain Institute, Nash Family Professor, Fishberg Department of Neuroscience. Dr. Nestler, please come up on stage.
Thank you, Dean Filizzola. It is a great honor for me to welcome our PhD students and their families to this 2024 Lab Coat Ceremony at Mount Sinai. This year will include first-year PhD students, third-year MD PhD students in biomedical sciences and in neuroscience, as well as PhD students in clinical research. As Marta said, we remain one of the very few graduate schools in the country to have a lab coat ceremony, and we do so because of the growing scrutiny placed on the nation's biomedical research enterprise and the unique responsibility that each of you will take on as you complete your training. In fact, most of you will be taking a required course this fall on the responsible conduct of research and the importance of rigor and reproducibility in the work we do. This comes at a time, just over the past year, where we have seen the presidents of Stanford and Harvard pressured to resign for failure to adhere to these ethical standards. Mark Tessier-Levine resigned as president of Stanford about a year ago after an in-depth investigation determined that he failed to address data falsification by lab members in several previous publications. And Claudine Gay resigned as president of Harvard last January, in part due to instances of plagiarism dating back to her days as a graduate student. Why do academic rigor and responsibility in research matter? Why are plagiarism and data falsification harmful? Why is open scientific debate important? Everyone says follow the science. That phrase became popular during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's an easy phrase to say, but we know that people on both sides of the political aisle make excuses when scientific evidence doesn't match their previously established viewpoints. And then there's the related term that really burns me up every time I hear it, called settled science. By definition, there's no such thing as settled science. When someone says the science is settled, it's shorthand for cutting off debate and ending the search for new discovery. That's the opposite of what science is about. The Oxford English Dictionary defines science as, quote, the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through experimental testing of theories against the evidence obtained. The core process of science is the scientific method, which describes a systematic process, again, quoting the dictionary, for acquiring knowledge that involves making observations, collecting data, and testing hypotheses. You all know this, but I'll review the scientific method in the following steps. First, observe, identify a question. Second, formulate a hypothesis, create an explanation for that observation. Third, test the hypothesis, conduct experiments, and analyze and interpret resulting data using metrics established before the testing, and see if the results match the expectation. In fact, one reason why so many published findings in top-tier journals are not reproducible is due to improper data analysis. Next, draw conclusions and refine the hypothesis, and finally, publish results so that others in the field can confirm, refute, modify, or extend your study. The scientific method is essential because it reduces bias and prejudice in the experimenter. It allows science to build upon what has been learned before, which helps the world advance. This approach to science is second nature to all of us. We grew up with it, starting in science classes in elementary school. But the scientific method, first introduced by the ancient Greeks, was not widely adopted in the world until relatively recently, with the roots in the Western Enlightenment about 350 years ago. Now, certainly, non-Western cultures have made extremely important inventions and discoveries over the last 3 millennia. Gunpowder, paper, printing in ancient China as just some examples. But the broad adoption of the scientific method is a Western innovation. Things were very different in medieval times. You all should imagine what it would have been like to be a PhD student in the Middle Ages. Virtually all medieval scholars in the Western world were connected in some way to the Catholic Church. Science then was referred to as natural philosophy, which with all aspects of the physical world being determined by God. Much of the work of the natural philosophers built upon observations and insights from philosophers and mathematicians in ancient Greece and Rome. Nevertheless, deviation from church doctrine was not permitted. Medieval students were not expected to think for themselves. They were not allowed to think for themselves or doubt what they were taught. They couldn't question assumptions, suggest alternative explanations, or challenge authority. That began to change in the 17th to mid-18th centuries with philosophers such as Francis Bacon, Galileo Galilei, Thomas Hobbes, René Descartes, Robert Boyle, John Locke, Isaac Newton, David Hume, and many others, who are credited with creating the modern scientific process. They urged the importance of questioning what came before them and refusing to accept the authority of their predecessors. They specifically advocated for 2 key principles, which remain the cornerstone of all scientific inquiry. First, empiricism, the importance of experimentation always being open to revision of pre-existing beliefs. And second, causality, establishing mechanisms by which one factor leads to another, not by belief, but by observation and experimentation. John Locke said in his classic text, The Conduct of the Understanding, written in 1697, quote, "It is easier to believe than to be scientifically instructed. New opinions are always suspected and usually opposed without any other reason but because they are not already common. No man's knowledge can go beyond his experience." The Royal Society of London, founded in 1660, is the oldest continuously existing scientific academy in the world and is seen by many as the forerunner of the modern research university. I would be remiss to not mention that actually the oldest scientific society, the Academia Secretorum Naturae, was founded in Naples in 1560, the hometown of our Dean, Dr. Filizzola. But back to the Royal Society of London. The Royal Society's motto is nullius in verba. Take nobody's word for it. The Society's mission statement includes, quote, to withstand the domination of authority and to verify all statements by an appeal to facts determined by experiment. As science was based increasingly on new empirical discoveries, it became essential to give proper credit to responsible scientists. This was based in turn on the importance of directing the resources that were used to fund science to those most deserving. Plagiarism, first described by ancient Rome for writers, was adopted during the Enlightenment as a key standard of scientific research. I review this history with you today so that we can all appreciate the paramount importance of the integrity of science. Scientific fraud is a threat to our nation's and the world's scientific enterprise. It cheats taxpayers who pay for the vast majority of science and make less money than most of us. It distorts the search for new treatments of disease and at worst can lead to clinical trials based on deceitful findings. It wastes other researchers' time and resources by providing false guidance for future studies. And most prominently, it degrades the public trust in science, which we have so unfortunately seen in recent years. Science and the scientific method, with its embrace of empiricism and causality, represent the proud tradition that created all of us, and that each of us in turn has the responsibility to promote, protect, and defend. By earning a PhD degree, you are the new generation upon whom society will depend to continue this most important tradition with the goal of further improving the health and lives of its citizens. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nessler. I would also like to recognize and thank our alumni supporters who contributed to making this very special ceremony possible. Our deep appreciation also goes to the Mount Sinai Alumni Association for sponsoring the lab coats our students are about to receive. I invite Dr. Alexis Colvin, Associate Dean for Alumni Affairs, to join us on stage. Dr. Colvin? Oh, not Dr. Colvin.
Oh, it's okay. Hi, I'm Denise Dilley. I'm Director of Alumni Relations for Icahn School of Medicine. And firstly, just want to say I'm stepping in for Dr. Colvin, who's back there with her crutches. So stepping in but cannot replace. So these are her words. Good afternoon and congratulations on not just starting your PhD studies, but ultimately joining a family of incredible students and alumni. I hope as you navigate your time here, you take advantage of all the opportunities to learn from our community of alumni, both within the institution and beyond. There are opportunities to meet a future mentor through our Alumni Connect mentorship program, which pairs alums with current graduate students, and Alumni Connect small group meetings in which you can meet with a diverse range of alums to discuss career paths and benefit from the wisdom of their experience. These sessions are truly invaluable. Before I close, I just want to say how honored she was to be able to welcome you at the beginning of your Icahn School of Medicine journey, and to let you know that the two of us will also be here at the end to welcome you into the alumni community. Congratulations again and best of luck.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Alexis, to come here on crutches. Thank you very much. I would now like to invite Dr. Matthew O'Connell, Senior Associate Dean for PhD Programs and Professor in the Department of Oncological Sciences, to the podium to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. O'Connell.
Wow. It's really great at the beginning of everything. I look out and see how enthusiastic everybody is. See if I still get a round of applause at the end of the year. I think this is a really wonderful day. You know, we're at the very beginning here of an adventure that I find really exciting. And I'll be honest with you, almost somewhat envious about everything that lies ahead of you for you to discover as you move through your time here and out onto, you know, bigger and better things afterwards. And you've heard me mention to you the importance of even thinking about what you're going to do when you're done as early back before interviews, during interviews, orientation. And our distinguished alumnus who will be speaking to you shortly is the poster child for someone who took this route. It's, you know, my great pleasure and real honor to welcome back to Mount Sinai Dr. Neil Darwin as today's keynote speaker. Neil began here at Sinai as an MSBS student. Shout out to all the MSBSs. And he was working on cancer biology and therapeutics at the time, I think with some phosphatases that Neil worked on during his PhD, during his master's. And from the earliest days, Neil was really a standout student to me because of his inquisitiveness and how much he also wanted to think about not only what we could do in the lab, but what could be done in a larger scale to bring therapeutics to a patient population. And, you know, from the very early days of investigating business opportunities and business acumen, even from the master's work, Neil was a co-founder of his first company, Dual Therapeutics, through Mount Sinai Innovation Partners and others, and went on that road. At the time, he was, I think, actually thinking about a career in medical school. But bitten by the research bug, we were super pleased when he expressed interest in doing a PhD here, staying in the cancer biology program, and he really continued to excel. He did his thesis work studying inhibitors of MAP kinase signaling pathways in cancer and in, you know, what Neil used to call undruggable targets. Published an incredible paper in Nature, a real earth move there. But at the same time continued to educate himself, network, and think about what his future career was going to be. After a brief time, after he graduated, 2016, which I have to say, Neil, feels like yesterday. God damn, look at the time. By the way, we both look exactly the same. You can check the record for that. Neil now resides, he moved his efforts for a brief time to Boston, set up a company which is now located in San Francisco, a company by the name of Totus Medicines, where he was the founder or co-founder, I guess, CEO, and now serves as the chief scientific officer and head of research and development. Looking at what Neil has done since graduation, it's not only impressive everything you're going to hear about what he's done professionally, but I think many of you will be looking and thinking, I recognize that guy. Yeah, because he has continued to be one of our biggest supporters as an alumnus of alumni of this school in all of our recruitment efforts, and would have spoken to many of you and continues to do so, and that has been something that we've appreciated greatly. Neil, now in his company, I was looking him up and I found an interview that Neil gave to a trade magazine, I guess, called Drug Discovery World, and they described Neil, and this really made me smile, and you'll see why. It's described Neil as co-founder and CEO of Totus Medicines, where he focuses on combining small molecule design, structural biology, genetics, biochemistry, and cell biology, design a new class of drugs to target untreatable diseases. And the reason that really made me smile was with only a couple of substitutions, that exactly describes Neil Darwin, the student, when he was doing his studies here at Mount Sinai. And it's been a beautiful joy to watch his success and how it will continue. And Neil, thank you for coming to talk to the students today.
Wow, it's hard to follow that. I just want you all to know as I sat in those seats just like you not so many years ago. But thank you to the deans, Dr. Filizola, Dr. O'Connell, Dr. Nessler, Dr. Colvin, although you weren't able to come up today. And most importantly, thank you to the students for having me. I'm also extremely envious of what you're about to embark on at Mount Sinai. And with one favor I'm going to start with for all the students is have all of your family members pledge to not ask you when you will be graduating. Okay? Everyone here promises not to ask your loved ones that question. But today I wanted to, share 3 really quick stories about my time at Mount Sinai and beyond. And for the first story, I wanted to talk about my first experience in the BMS core class that you take as a first-year grad student. And I remember our professor at the time was Dr. Pan. And he walks up to the front of the room. I'm ready to learn about signaling and pathways and all this deep science. And he goes, I found a gene. What does it do? And he just stopped. And he waited for someone to figure it out and waited. And I came out of it pretty frustrated and annoyed. I wanted to, I wanted to learn about signaling pathways and how do diseases work. But what Dr. Pan was trying to teach us is that's not how science works. Science doesn't have easy answers when you're in graduate school. There's not a textbook to tell you exactly what to do. It's messy and unpredictable, and the real skill you're learning here is the art form of doing science. You guys are the artists that are learning that skill set, how to answer questions where there aren't easy answers. And at Sinai, I like to encourage you all that there's going to be times where you feel very frustrated. You had weeks of experiments that didn't work out. That is normal. And it's important when that happens is that you put your head down, and I encourage you to dive into your learning. Read all the papers you can, read patents, but most importantly, go and talk to this incredible faculty at Mount Sinai. If you want to know more about drug design, go talk to Avner Schlesinger about drug design. If you want to learn more about epigenetics, you can go talk to Emily Bernstein about epigenetics. If you want to know more about immunology, you can go talk to Miriam Murad about immunology. The faculty and the professors here really care about you and your development and what you can learn. And I encourage you to reach out to those resources because they can provide you insights into so many different medical areas and scientific disciplines. All right, story 2. And someone let Dr. Pan know that I gave him a shout out. I wanted to share that in this story, and I'm going to start with that, you all really matter, not only to the professors here, but to the entire scientific community, because you all are going to forge the frontier in the future of scientific development and medical development with what you do. Because when I first started here at Mount Sinai, I think the idea of discovering and developing a drug seemed very foreign. I heard it could take a lifetime to get a drug to the clinic. You have to raise hundreds of millions of dollars to get it there. It seemed like it was an impossible task. And sometimes you would hear, oh, most drugs fail. Most times it's hard to get the money to develop a drug all the way to the clinic. But because of a lot of what I learned here at Mount Sinai, at our current company that I co-founded, over the past 3 years, we've raised over $100 million. We've advanced our first drug into the clinic. And actually, as of 2 days ago at the ESMO conference, we showed that this molecule leads to responses in late-stage cancer patients. And so for all of you today, there's a incredible wealth of opportunity here that you could take advantage of. And sometimes you're going to get criticism, but when you get criticism of your dreams, I just like to go back to the great philosopher Lil Wayne, who says, haters only hate things they can't have and the people they can't be. It's just a little thing called jealousy. Putting the jealousy aside, I'm very jealous of all of you today for the adventure that you're about to embark on, because you have this opportunity to really pursue your dreams at Mount Sinai, and I very much encourage you all to do that. Your dream may feel completely out of touch. It may feel like such a long journey ahead, but it is doable. And I know, even if you don't think you have the potential to get there, that you actually do. I wouldn't have gotten into Mount Sinai, considering how competitive it's gotten to get into graduate school. And so you all are a step ahead of me already. All right, story 3. This is my favorite one. It'd been a particularly grueling day of experiments. Nothing was working. My protein was degrading. The gel stopped running. You know, it was one of those work weeks where nothing was working out. The data just wasn't going in my direction. So I decided to go on a walk. I went down to Central Park, walked around the reservoir. I walked up to 120th Street, and then slowly began walking my day, myself down to Aaron Hall, where many of you probably live right now. But I was so engrossed in my thoughts that I actually kind of lost track of where I was. And all of a sudden, I found myself surrounded by a group of teenagers who formed a circle around me and demanded my money. Reflexively, I reached into my wallet and I handed them everything I had. It was 4 crumpled up dollar bills. They looked at me confused, and I reflexively said, I'm a Mount Sinai student. I don't have a lot of money. And then they decided to return all my money, congratulated me on getting my degree, and told me I could move on. It's a true story. So there's some real perks from being here at Mount Sinai. Now, I'm going to make a leap to some metaphor here somehow. But one of those perks is being in one of the cultural centers of the world in New York City. I cherish it so much now, but New York City can be a little rough around the edges. But I think it's something that over a few months, you really will fall in love with, like I did. Being in this city during a very sometimes challenging but incredibly educational time was incredible. The mixture of the diversity here, especially at Mount Sinai, where you're wedged between the Upper East Side and Harlem, was an incredible experience and really one of the most unique experiences of my life. All in all, I just hope and encourage you all to embrace everything you can at Mount Sinai, in New York City while you're here. From the science you're doing in classes to the professors you can just go drop in and meet to ask questions to. And in closing, I ask, just stay curious, stay hungry. You really matter to me, all the faculty and the scientific community. And yeah, like Lil Wayne said, I am actually pretty jealous and envious of all of you for the adventure you're about to embark on. So I wish you all success in your journey going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. That does not get you off the hook. You know that we will keep calling you, right? Anyway, the next part of this ceremony, the part many of you have been awaiting, will be the presentation of 2024's matriculating PhD students and third-year MD PhD students with the lab coats as a symbolic induction into their rigorous academic scientific training. The students will receive their lab coat from distinguished members of the graduate school faculty, directors of our multidisciplinary training areas, who exemplify outstanding graduate teaching and mentoring. Please stand as I call your name. Dr. George Huntley, Director of our Neuroscience program. Dr. Ait Greenspan, Co-Director of the Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies in Medicine. Dr. James Manfredi and Martin Walsh, co-directors of the Cancer Biology MTA. Dr. Nicole Dubois, co-director of the Development Regeneration Stem Cell Biology MTA. Dr. Sander Houghton, co-director of the Genetics and Genomic Sciences MTA. Dr. Alice Camphorst, co-director of the Immunology MTA. Drs. Jean Lim and Domenico Tortorella, co-directors of the Microbiology MTA. And last but not least, Dr. Michael Lazarus and Abner Schlesinger, co-directors of the Disease Mechanism and Therapeutics MTA. And it is also my pleasure to welcome back to the podium this year's roster reader for our doctoral students in Biomedical Sciences and Neuroscience, Dr. Matthew O'Connell.
Okay, so thank you, Dean Filizola, and welcome again, everybody. At this section, I want to particularly welcome the PhD Biomedical Science, Neuroscience, the PhD in Clinical Research, and our MD PhD students as well. It's really an honor to be part of this, as I said before, and as we work our way through this roster and the coding ceremonies, could you please, I ask everyone, we're going to do 4 at a time. Could you hold your applause until we do each group of 4? And so, let's begin. I would like to call up the 2024 PhD students, Biomedical Science and Neuroscience. Please come forward when I call your name. And as we are in the spirit of giving, so grading later. I want to apologize in advance to anyone if I mispronounce your name. Okay, ready to roll? Okay, 4 at a time. Here we go. Amanda Ackerman, Henry Asher, Tommaso Cabini, and Michelle Campoli. It's still time for a Kodak moment. Okay. Zishay Shen, Shushan Chow, Abigail Chutnik, and Claire Coleman. Emmanuel Coleman, David D'Onofrio, Abby Daly, and Crystal Dier. Yeah, George has to, you have to poke out the front there. All right, Olivia Dodson, Louis Strada, Chin Fong, and Qingying Feng. Okay, continuing on. Brooke Friedman, Shin Ji, Abigail Glick, and Harley Haas. Okay, Ashley Harlock, Lily Helterbeetle, Hannah Huang, and Sundus Aijas. All right, here we go. Rashika Iya, Jenna Jubia, Vivek Kampa, and Eric Kim. And the final group for part one, we have Marina Kuchivara, no, Anna Susan Kurian, Eva Cusick, and Ariel Lerner. And please thank Dr. Greenspan, Manfredi, and Walsh. Thank you for coding our students. And now we'd like to welcome Drs. Dubois, Houghton, and Campos to the stage. Okay, second group. April Lee, Mariam Mabub, Pericles Malakatis, and Natalie McLean. Going straight to Instagram. Okay. Anna Mortari. All right. Okay, now I've got to be careful here. Gabrielle Nascimento de Sousa Santos. Anyone who said I can't roll my R's, you were correct. Lauren Park and Sunil Patel. Okay. Shrey Patel, Anya Plotnikova, Alexandra Ramirez, and Martha Rea Moreno. Rachel Rowanicki, Haley Rosenblum, Nandini Samantha, and Cheyenne Sanai. Maximilian Schaefer, Gerrit Schmidt, Maya Singh, and Xenia Sofiano. Almost there. Miki Otada, Alexandra Trulou, Joanna Cialta, and Christian Velati. Okay, we're going to go down to groups of 3 now. Elijah Vanderin, Maria Delmar Villanova Guzman, and Ki Zhu. Si-Yun Young, Hannah Yoder, and Emma Young. And our final group, who always gets the loudest applause, Jasmine Zhang, Yifan Zhao, and Hao Cheng. So please, thank you very much to our coders, and congratulations to all you PhD students in biomedical science and neuroscience. Well done.
Very good. It's now time to call on stage the medical scientist training program students who will also be starting their research. Dr. Talia Swartz, Senior Associate Dean for MD PhD Education, will read the names of the MD PhD students. Dr. Swartz, please come forward.
Thank you, Dr. Filazzola, and I would like to welcome Dr. Lim, Tortorella, Lazarus, and Schlesinger to the stage to quote the MSTP students. So we're going to do 4 and then 3 and 3. So Michelle Adler, Cristina Banuelos, Stuti Bansal, Ernest Chen. Olivia Cullen, Alexander Frank, Nicole Hirsch. Guy Kaihua Mani, Katie Lynch, Jira White. Congratulations to all of the MD PhD students starting on their PhD journey and to all of you on this exciting journey. Thank you.
Now time to call on stage the PhD in clinical research students who will also be starting their research with us this year. Dr. Emilia Bagella, co-director of the clinical research program, please come forward.
I will now call the students in the clinical research program. Ayesha Hashmi, Jai Hua Liu, and Matthew and Alva Rosemary Rodriguez Nunez. Aotian Wan, Ahmed Tariq, Ting Yu Wang. Many congratulations to the PhD students in clinical research. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Bagella, Lim, Tortorella, Lazarus, and Schlesinger. Now I have the pleasure to present again Dr. Matthew O'Connell to administer the PhD oath followed by the faculty pledge.
Click some. That. Well, we have a plan B. It's okay. Before we get to the pledges, you know, there's a lot of people who get us through all these stages in our lives. And I think everyone who's just been coded, and probably all of us, have a lot of people to thank. And so I think it's time to stand, face your family members who are behind you. Remember, some of them are on the cameras that are streaming into the room. As we celebrate all of those who have helped us along the way to achieve our goals. So thank you, families and friends. We couldn't do it without you at all. Now that you've all sat down, I'm going to ask you all to stand. And now sit down again. No. Did you understand what I was going to say? I would actually invite everybody here with doctoral, all the candidates and everybody with PhDs to either dedicate or rededicate the commitment to our profession with this oath. And I see it's a bit cut off, but this is printed on page 8 in your booklet. Okay, now think about these words as we pledge them together. With my Doctor of Philosophy, I willingly pledge to uphold the highest levels of integrity, professionalism, scholarship, and honor. I will conduct my research and professional endeavors with honesty and objectivity. I will apply the highest standards of rigor and respect for the generation and application of knowledge, and fully acknowledge the contributions of others. I will not allow financial gain or ambition to cloud my judgment or decision-making, nor cause harm to society or subjects of research. I will embark on the furthering of knowledge through respectful interaction and collaboration with my colleagues, community, without prejudice or exclusion. I will be a role model and use my skills to inspire, mentor, and empower future generations, instilling in them the highest principles of ethical behavior. As witnessed by all present today, and in the tradition of graduates before me, I do affirm to uphold these guiding principles. Please be seated. And now it's time for the faculty to stand as we read the, oh, I have to do this. The faculty pledge. There we go. And you can see this on page 9 of your program. Students, this is our pledge as faculty. As teachers and mentors for our students, we pledge to maintain the highest professional standards in all of our interactions with students, patients, colleagues, and staff. We pledge our utmost effort to ensure that all components of the educational program for students will be of the highest quality. We will respect all students as individuals without regard to gender, race, national origin, religion, or sexual orientation. We will not tolerate anyone who manifests disrespect or who expresses biased attitudes towards any student. We will not tolerate any abuse or exploitation of students. In an effort to nurture professional development, we pledge that students will have adequate time for reflection as well as personal and family obligations. In nurturing both the intellectual and professional development of our students, we will celebrate achievement of academic excellence and demonstration of the highest virtues of our profession. Thank you. Please be seated.
Almost done. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the staff of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences for their effort in planning this ceremony. Special recognition goes to the following individuals who meticulously organized this event. Kathy Delks, over here. Justin Ino, where are you? He's working on the food downstairs. Okay, he's outside. Jerry the Raftery. Oh, here you are. And Matt Cipriano over there. I see you, Matt. Oh, and it's Matt Cipriano's birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, Matt. Without their diligence and dedication, this ceremony would not have been possible. Additionally, I would like to thank the Mount Sinai Alumni Association for their steadfast support. All attendees are cordially invited to join us for a reception here at the Icahn building down the stairs to the lower level. Please remain seated until those on stage have exited the auditorium, and students who have just been quoted, please remain seated for your group photos. This concludes the 2024 Lab Coat ceremony of the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Thank you and congratulations to all.